Good morning, everybody. This is, welcome to another Friday Marin Builders Association webinar, Member Connect event. I'm John Pope. I'm the MBA president this year. And this is just part of our continued communication with our members. And this event, Rick will introduce Paul and Don from the City of San Rafael's building department, who are going to talk about current issues and what's next. But Rick will fill us more in later. I just, we want to continue reaching out to our membership, and really, as we mentioned in the last Member Connect event, stay in tune and keep our membership up to date with what's really going on in the construction industry as we move through the COVID-19 pandemic. And this is a new challenge for all of us. Just personally, we're looking at planning ahead for our business and getting things like masks and supplies, cleaning materials. Luckily, we have a lot of resources in the county to be able to do those. But we're even looking at how do we divide our workforce so we don't put multiple people in the same vehicle. So it's been challenging. One of the things is the board has been meeting remotely for our monthly board meetings, as Rick put up on the screen. We're hard at work on your benefit, all the volunteers that serve on the Marin Builders Association board of directors, trying to keep everybody informed of what's going on. And so I'll let Rick Wells, our CEO, take over. So Rick, it's all you.
Thanks. Unmuting is a good idea. Thank you, John, and thank you for being here right now. If I haven't had the chance to meet you, my name is Rick Wells. I serve as the CEO of the Marin Builders Association. Today's program is going to be fast-paced, 30 minutes, so you can get back to your day. You will have a chance to email your thoughts, questions, or feedback directly to me after this webinar by replying to the resource follow-up email we send out to you with the key points from today's briefing. Also, we're planning to record the webinar and post to our COVID response page. With that, we'll get started with a few comments before we hand it over to our featured presenters, Paul, Jensen, and Don Jeppson from the City of San Rafael. Okay, so like so many businesses, we're making our business work despite 5+ weeks of shelter in place. And we are enabled to do that because of you. So a quick but important thank you to our board of directors, cornerstone partners, and our 570+ member firms that support our work. Your support is empowering us to keep actively working to protect your construction firm during these times of change and challenge. 2 recent highlights I wanted to mention quickly. We're happy to report that despite the pandemic, our annual scholarship program is moving ahead. We've extended our deadline to May 4th for applications for high school seniors. If you know of any graduating seniors, please encourage them to apply. I'll send everyone that link as a follow-up today. Also wanted you to know that our work is continuing behind the scenes on our permit customer service initiative here in Marin, both in Novato and Tiburon. You'll be hearing more about these reports and recommendations in the coming weeks and months. Again, we continue this work because of you, our members. Thank you. I'd like to bring your attention to our 2020-21 Marin Home Resource Guide. Our ad partner is coming this Thursday, the 30th. If you're positioning your construction-related business to be ready to accept new customers this summer and fall, this is a solid option for you. Ironically, our theme this year has been building during and through uncertain times. We're confident that the content from this annual guide is going to resonate with local homeowners and the construction industry at just the right time and for the next full year to come. For the last several weeks, homeowners have been sitting in their houses looking around and planning their next projects, or better yet, trying to do the projects themselves. This guide is going to release to the public just as you are ready to get into action to help them with their plans or to professionally fix their partially completed projects. On a serious note, if you happen to be looking for a way to help support us and our efforts right now, this is the best option, and it will get your firm exposure and recognition until June 2021. So we're stronger together as an industry. If you haven't connected with us on Facebook or LinkedIn yet, please do. We're focused on our work to protect your construction firm during the COVID-19 pandemic, and we will be here to help us navigate out of the challenge and into the future together. Again, thank you for all your support. We'll take it to our featured presenters. Don, if you want to fire up your camera, I'll do a quick intro. So we have Paul Jensen and Don Jeppson. I can't get that right. Community Development Director and Chief Building Official, respectively, from the City of San Rafael. They combine for decades of experience in community development across the Bay Area and Nevada. Part of the reason why we asked them to be with us today was because they truly prioritize the customer-centric approach and open communication with permit applicants. As a matter of fact, San Rafael was the first to adopt our permit customer experience assessment initiative in phase 1. So with that, I'll turn it over to Paul. Go for it, Paul.
Okay, good. Is the camera on?
Yes, sir.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Paul Jensen. I'm the Community Development Director for the City of San Rafael. And before I get started on where we are, particularly with the shelter-in-place order, I just want to give you all a status report on what we're doing because, frankly, we're still in business. And while we have to staff our emergency operations function, we are still processing building permit applications and planning applications and conducting inspections. And a couple of things that we are doing, and I'm going to let Don touch on some of these things too, is this pause has allowed us to kind of introduce some new concepts and new ideas, and including online filing of building permit applications with electronic plan submittals, which is good. And we are also doing that with the planning applications. So while we had some of the smaller permits like roofing permits and plumbing permits that you could get online in the past, we have broadened that because we don't have a public counter service right now. So what I'd like to do is just first start with the shelter-in-place order. We are currently under an order that was issued by the County Health Department. The way this works is we get our marching orders from the governor. That trickles down to the counties. The county health services will issue the shelter-in-place order to be administered and enforced by every city and town in Marin County. And right now, the shelter-in-place order that was issued on the 31st of March is due to come up again on May 3rd. And it's likely that there's going to be some changes. Actually, hopefully, we're crossing our fingers, particularly for the good of the construction industry and the trades. But under the current shelter-in-place order, many of you are familiar with the fact that there are some very narrow allowances for construction right now. Construction's allowed for housing development that includes some component of affordable housing, but nothing else. And then other essential projects, including some public projects like our Public Safety Center project across the street and other utility projects as deemed needed for health and safety and providing services to people. So what we've been asked to do, knowing that this shelter-in-place order is expected to be revisited on May 3rd, we expect it's going to get extended, but the city managers and town managers have asked us at our level, the building official level and planning director level, to take a look at the construction allowance list and the restrictions and come up with some ideas. We have worked collectively with the other building officials and planning directors in the county, and offered up a list of things for loosening up construction allowances for this next extension of the shelter-in-place order. And just to give you an example, some of the things that we are offering up as suggestions is to allow all currently permitted projects, residential and non-residential, that have commenced to date to proceed to completion, and to allow new residential construction that adds to the housing supply, which is a big bite, and we hope that we'll be able to be successful in broadening that allowance. What Don and I did was we also offered up some other suggestions, like, for example, outdoor construction, allowing outdoor construction to proceed. Also, any construction where you have a condition where there are no occupants in the building or no commercial tenants, so that there's a lower level of exposure. Now, with this will come some more structured protocols, like a safety plan that a contractor or a construction manager or a foreperson at a construction site will be responsible for enforcing, to ensure that their workers are are complying with certain protocols like masks, social distancing, and even taking their temperature when they show up for work. So those are some of the things that we actually brought forward to the city and town managers and to the county health department, and we hope that they take these suggestions seriously. So that's where we are right now, and where we expect over the next week. You will likely find that within the next week, there's probably going to be some media attention on this, and hopefully there'll be some recommendations on changes in the construction allowances. Don, did you want to add something on this?
Yeah, so what we're doing right now is we have about 1,700 active permits, including our resale inspections and our encroachment permits. We kind of look at each one case by case. So we decide what will be in and what will be out based on the essential order. So some of the things that are out currently are like solar projects. Even though they're outside, even though there's less contact with solar, it doesn't fall under essential construction. So solar is out. We are taking in solar permits. We are issuing solar permits with an acknowledgement that they sign that they will not start construction until the health order is lifted. I guess we can go on to the next slide. So where we are right now is in month of April, we had issued 122 permits and collected, I'm sorry, in the month of March, we issued 234 permits and collected about $152,000 in revenue. So far in April, we've issued 122 permits and then anticipating collecting over $100,000 in revenue. My staffing level has gone from 9 employees and myself. We had 2 vacancies. During the coronavirus, we had 2 retirements for 2 of our employees that were over 65 years of age. So we're down to 2 inspectors and 1 permit tech and myself. We had, before the coronavirus, using a outside inspector and plan examiner. We're no longer using those. We are still using S-Skill to a limited extent, but we're trying to do more of the plan checks in-house, and it's worked out okay because they've dropped off, so we're able to cover those. I'm a little worried when the order gets lifted and being faced with only 2 inspectors and 1 building permit tech. We did get authorization to go ahead and fill an inspector position. We've already interviewed for that position, but it's been put on hold because we cannot get the background check on that inspector. Is there any questions so far? I don't know. Okay, so our protocols, the inspector has a right to refuse any inspection that he feels that's unsafe. We prefer to do inspections that are unoccupied. There are some exceptions to that. We are allowing kitchen and bathroom remodels that have started construction and are permitted to finish, because a kitchen and bathroom is essential for a habitable space. However, if it's a new kitchen or new bathroom, those are, we may issue a permit for them, but they will have that signed acknowledgement that they will not start construction until health order is lifted. A lot of items are case by case. There are single family dwellings that we've shut down construction or allowed them to get to a safe point to shut down the job site. There's other single families, because of mitigating circumstances, perhaps they're displaced elderly or they're displaced with a medical condition, that we have allowed those to go forward. It's very much a case by case. Same with like swimming pools. You can imagine fences, a bunch of different commercial projects, trying to figure out if they're essential or if they support an essential business.
Don, before you move on, I just want to touch on the nuances here that are referenced in the slide. We have, as you know, we have a set of restrictions that are issued by the county health department and protocols for safety. How those are implemented by a city and town or city by city basis here in Marin, as you have experienced, definitely vary. What we try to do here, and Don is really good at doing this, is that he mentioned looking at things on a case by case basis. He will use logic and common sense to determine whether or not something is either considered essential or is needed to ensure a property is safe and free of hazards. So we try to strive to do that. I know that every building official and planning director in the county has a different bent on how that is implemented or enforced, but that's at least what we try to do. So you're still going to continue to get some level of inconsistencies throughout the county, even though the shelter in place order is very structured.
My inspectors are also wearing masks in the field. They have hand cleaners and gloves if necessary. They do realize occasionally we might not be able to respect that 6-foot separation if we're collaborating over a set of drawings or over a confined space, but we're trying to limit those as much as possible. I believe Public Works is following a similar protocol. However, we're not the enforcing agency on the job site. If we see something unsafe, we may say something. If we see something unsafe that directly affects one of my inspectors, we definitely will say something. But we're treating how the contractor manages work as his responsibility, just very much like an OSHA, like for ladders or scaffolding or shoring trenches. You know.
Hey, John.
Yes.
This might be a good opportunity to talk about, have there been citations issued, or can you speak to a little bit of that? I know you guys have a particular common sense approach to that. Can you just give a general idea if there have been citations issued and what those look like?
I believe our police department has gone out and tried to discourage, usually with a verbal warning first, on construction. And this could be construction that doesn't result in a permit, right? Like you're out painting your house. But we set up a BAT phone. It's a building assistant telephone that we've given to the police officers. They can call us directly. We man that 7 days a week. And they can get a hold of one of my inspectors or myself, and we'll help them, or we'll tell them what the status of that permit is, if it's good to go or not. So we get calls about once or twice a day on the BAT phone. I don't know as a fact on how many citations have been issued from the police department, but I could probably find out for you. I think their first course is just to educate and to give warnings.
Great. Thanks, Don.
And how I try to explain this to contractors too is, the purpose of the order is to eliminate unnecessary activities and contacts between people to prevent the spreading of the virus. So we have homeowners that call and say, can I paint my house? And I'm like, well, if you're going to hire a contractor or a handyman, the answer is probably no. If you're going to do it yourself, it might be maybe, but that doesn't mean that gives you the right to go down to Home Depot or to a paint store and get the paint and brushes and rollers. If you have it already, you probably can do the work, but you're not supposed to increase unnecessarily travel either. And I try to explain, even, to like the solar contractors, yes, there might be very limited or no contact between the worker on the roof and the occupant of the home, but it's all the other contacts that worker might get involved with. He might go to lunch. He might pick up a coworker. They might make an extra stop on the way home. They might pick up supplies. They might check into the office. So there's all these vectors that you got to think of. So I try to encourage them, even if you have a building permit, if it can be deferred, it should be deferred. So we have had some contractors that have gone to the extra step and shut down all their work, whether they're able to do it under the central order or not. We have other homeowners that have gotten permits before the coronavirus, and they have deferred doing any work on those permits. Just if it can be deferred for a short period of time, it should be. On the other hand, I'm also realized that we're an economic work engine, and there's other things I think we can do safely, like the solar projects, that we should get back into the mix. There's even a large hotel going in San Rafael that they're just starting the foundation, and I would love to give them the go-ahead to continue with the foundation. So Paul and I have been working and trying to get those into the new order, and we'll see how successful that is in about a week. I'm hoping things will be more back to normal as they loosen up the restrictions. It took us about 2 months to get to this point. It probably will take us about 2 months to get out of this point. So I'm hoping by maybe the 1st of July, things will be more normal than they are today. And I think that's about all we had.
Fantastic. Don, Paul, thank you very much. I really appreciate your time, you being here with us today. I know how busy you guys are in the Emergency Operations Center and everything that you've got going on with what's coming down with the next order, whatever that may look like. We appreciate you providing us some perspective on what it might look like for us. I'm going to follow up with what's on your screen right now, which is a resource brief. If you have any questions, you can send those my way. I will forward them on to Don and Paul for their review. Our goal is to keep you informed, to protect your construction firm throughout this. Again, we'll be emailing the resources. Reach out to me directly with any feedback or suggestions. Thank you, John Pope, on behalf of the entire Marin Builders Association. Have a fantastic, safe, and enjoyable weekend. Thanks so much.